Hey, insiders. This week, Lorna and I are going to dig into considerations to be putting in place when establishing a collaborative space for the adults within the building. We have a number of organizations that have specifically designed spaces where the adults meet to collaborate, and we want to share some of the things that we've seen that have tremendous impact when doing so. So let's get started. So, when we think about designing a space for adult collaboration, first off, I think it's critically important to understand that the structure we put into how people collaborate really has tremendous impact on the outcomes that come
Hmm.
from that. And I think we talk lots about the structures and processes as far as how do you facilitate, how do you establish norms, have you created roles, what does the agenda look like? But one of the things that we've discovered is how we actually design the
Hmm.
space that we're collaborating in matters as well.
Yeah, greatly so, actually. And we can talk about, and we'll talk about during this time, um, some very specific elements
Yeah,
that,
considerations.
yeah, that really contribute to that time, but which might seem kind of trivial. Like we create time, we bring people together, that should be good enough.
Yeah.
But what we found is that when we really attend to the actual physical space, that we are building our culture of
Yeah,
collaboration
absolutely.
through those specific sometimes seem meaningless things.
Yeah. So we're going to start by going back into our experience as
Yeah,
classroom teachers.
yeah,
So as educators, um, many moons ago in a classroom, it was we learned and then really emphasize the idea that how we set up our classroom
yeah,
really does matter to the learning that's happening. The work that the students are doing is highly impacted and influenced by how the classroom space
yeah,
is set up. And we often talk about the environment being the third teacher, where
yeah.
there's the teacher, there's the students that are learning and teaching one another, but the environment becomes that third teacher. So when we think about how we set up our classrooms, and let's go, we both taught grade three. Let's go right to grade three classroom. What were some of the things that you were doing to ensure an effective space for students to be collaborating and learning?
Yeah, so I reflect on that and think, there was a good week before kids were coming to the classroom that I would invest in setting up my classroom.
Yeah.
And well, all teachers do this. They spend time prior to the kids coming in to be really thoughtful about things like how do I arrange my desks? How do I create the best opportunity for them to be able to see and hear a focal point in the classroom? How do I make resources available so that it's easy and we're not spending lots of time
Yeah.
looking for things or searching out those resources? All of those things contribute to effective classroom teaching and setting up the classroom so that it's successful for our learners. We do the exact same thing for our adult learning spaces. And so we need to be able to consider those pretty well the
Mhm.
same components that we do for our classroom for our adult space.
So we're really going to look at this in two different aspects. In a future episode, we're going to look at what happens if you don't have a dedicated space for
Yeah.
collaboration. There's still some considerations that we want to put in place if we're meeting in, let's say, a classroom, a staff room,
Yeah.
some other space that's not intended solely for our collaborative efforts. But in this episode, let's talk about what would we consider or the ideas that we would put in place and for um, supporting effective collaboration. And please note, a lot of these ideas are shared in a collaborative spaces guide, collaborative meeting spaces guide that we've developed that has a checklist right in it. We'll make sure that that's linked here. It's available at bit.ly/space checklist, all one word, if you want to be able to check that out. Okay, so let's go in and think about that space. So, first off, how people are arranged. matters.
Oh, absolutely.
I've seen some meeting spaces where there's just chairs kind of
Yeah.
randomly about, but you are, I've heard you before in sessions adamant about how people are arranged
Yeah, so what we want to be able to do is to ensure that everyone can hear, and more importantly, everyone can make eye contact with everyone
with
else in the
each
team.
person in the room.
Yeah. So that means that likely you are either going to be in a full circle, or one of our other suggestions is about accessing common notes. And that means that then we would put our team into a horseshoe shape.
Yeah. So typically what we would see in a space that's well designed is that table, but where
Yeah,
everyone is seated in a way that we can make eye contact, that there's never a point where somebody is speaking behind me and I'm not making eye contact or I'm not able to visually see the nonverbal communication that is happening within the room as well.
that's right. And so much goes on in being able to recognize people at the table and honor that they are there, and being able to visually see and hear is
Yeah.
critical.
Okay, so then you also mentioned that we want to have a space where we can visually see the work that we're
Yeah.
working on. And typically that means either a television that we can cast
Yeah.
to, or a
Smart
projector
board.
or a smart board. But we want to be able to visually see the work that
Hmm.
is happening. I've seen lots of teams that meet, especially with some of our shared collaborative tools that we have, like Microsoft shared Word documents or Google Docs or whatever that looks like, where everyone has it open on their laptop, but there's still something that's critical about having it up as a focal point within the room. And like you said, it might mean that if we're at a table and the television is at one end, we're not going to have a chair at that
Mm-mm.
end because we want everyone to not only make eye contact with each other, but have that screen as a visual focal point, whether it's taking our meeting notes or lots of times we see in schools when they're having meetings about students, that's up. And our WeCollab digital system is a great tool. There's
Mm.
a feature within it where we can have team boards where there's actual pictures of students arranged showing what level of support that we have in place. And having that up visually is so critically important.
Yeah, and the other thing about that is that we can have one person who is the designated recorder,
Yeah.
and we only need one laptop open because we've got everything projected, and that allows us to ensure that everyone else in the meeting can really focus in on what's happening, and
Yeah.
we actually don't need other computers open.
Yeah. So, I mean, in most spaces today, that's going to be able to be cast or to be
Yeah,
projected. But even in spaces where there's a hardwire desktop, we still say invest the small amount of money that it would take to get a Bluetooth
yeah.
keyboard, a Bluetooth mouse there so that you don't have one of your team members working off in one side because there's a hardwired computer over there. We still want that person right in part of the team.
Hmm. Another component to consider, and especially for people who have a meeting space, a meeting room, or a
Yeah.
conference room, but that is to use the space for visuals.
Yeah. We'll be right back to continue this episode. It doesn't take long for any teacher to realize that explicit expectations and routines are necessary for a large group of students to engage in meaningful activity, regardless of what they teach. Although we recognize this is true for any classroom, we don't always take the same care to design careful expectations and routines for adults. We establish a time to meet and clarify a purpose, then bring team members together. Since we are all adults, there is no need for rules of engagement, but very quickly we discover, just like in the classroom, dysfunctions within the team will persist, such as coming late, checking phones consistently, working on sending emails throughout the meeting, along with many others. So how do we guard against this happening? The easy answer is we need to co-develop team norms. Download our free Guide for Leaders to Develop, Sustain, and Reinforce Effective Norms for Team Success. This guide provides you with step by step instructions on how to develop your team norms. Access the guide at bit.ly/team norms guide. That's bit.ly/team norms guide. Norms provide the essential foundation for our teams to commit to working together, reflecting on what each team member needs to be successful, and leading to the articulation of an agreed upon set of guidelines assist us when working effectively as a team. And now back to our conversation.
So, what are some things that you want to have in that space to demonstrate what it is that we do when we come to that area?
Yeah.
And so, an example of that is to be able to post your team meeting norms and that you've developed those, you've gone to the effort of creating them, and as a reminder of what we do when we're together as a team, that visual of your team meeting norms is great to be able to post.
Yeah, and you've just reminded me, we'll make sure to post in the notes. Actually, no, we won't worry about it because it's in that guide that I mentioned already. There is a link to a Drive folder that has pictures of lots of different organizations' meeting spaces that demonstrate exactly what
Mhm.
you're saying there. So I've been in a school recently where not only their norms were projected up, but they had a standard meeting. Process or structure that they walk through that was posted up. There was a schedule of when are their meetings happening
Yeah.
that was lined up over here. They had their schools core goals that they were working on, those were posted up there as well. But we've also seen lots of schools that when they use that space to talk about students, they have their continuums of support that are posted up to be able to share. It's again going back to that idea of in a classroom, you have all sorts of anchor resources available for
Yeah.
students to visually reference as they're working. We want to do the same for teams. And
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
lots of times one of the suggestions I make when I go in to do school feedbacks is if this is a space, and usually it's a conference room
Yeah.
that they're utilizing, and the walls are blank in the space. Oh man, this is such a great place to be able to put up your team goals, your all the things that we've talked about here, but also why not show some of your data
Yes,
within that?
absolutely. Yeah, and really thinking about then how do we demonstrate what's happening in our school through our data?
Yeah,
And we've talked before about different ways to do that through a visual, a thermometer,
yeah,
or
scoreboards.
a number line where we can start to show this is where we started, this is where we are now, this is where our goal is, and something general and broad to allow us that reminder of, first of all, what is our areas of focus? And secondly, what is our progress that we're making toward that area?
That's one of the biggest things is that when people are meeting, we can visually see, oh my goodness, look at the progress we're
Yeah,
making by this data being visualized.
huge
It's so
celebration.
critically important. So I'll also we'll link into the notes a free webinar that talks about how to effectively organize data, and within that, one portion of the webinar shows examples and talks further about how do you visually display data, especially if you've got a consistent meeting
Mhm.
space that is going along.
Another thing that we want to make sure is in that meeting space is just resources that we would use typically.
Yeah.
So, pens and pencils and scrap paper and
Post-it note.
post-it notes. You
Yeah.
need lots and lots of post-it notes because we we use them all the time. But being able to have actually a little bin that's available there, that makes sure that we're not spending any time wandering around
Yeah.
looking for something.
We've also seen meeting spaces, and again, this comes down to funds and availability, but where there's writable spaces
Yeah.
all over, and
Mhm.
whether that's just simple
Whiteboards.
white pads that are
Yeah.
strategically placed, or whiteboards, or we've even seen organizations that have tables that have whiteboard tops so that people at any point can just grab that dry erase marker and start jotting down ideas and
Well, and for that
whatnot.
matter, even charts, like
Yeah.
even chart paper available so that you have some spaces to do some brainstorming.
I also found too that one of the things that we did within my school is key research
Yeah.
pieces, whether that's books or articles, like things that we are seeing as fundamental anchor resources, having them available within that space. So again, when we're trying to reference or look through something or working on something as a team, and we go, oh, let's go back to this key resource we've been
Yeah.
using. Boom, it's right there in easy reach.
Well, and especially if your school is doing a book study or if there is relevant research toward your school improvement goals, all of that should be within eyes,
Yeah.
within your site so that it just signifies this is our area of focus for this point in time. And we've got the research here to be able to reference and use as
Mhm.
needed.
So with this, we'd love to throw out a challenge of sending along, if you have a dedicated meeting space and you've done some of the things that we were talking about, we'd love to see pictures of
Yeah.
that. What does it look like? We know that it also becomes hugely inspirational for other leaders to be able to just see other examples of how schools have gone about designing those meeting spaces. So please send us quick pictures of what that space looks like that you've designed to help really support the effective collaboration that's happening for teams.
We'd love to see that.
So, as always, reach out if there's questions, comments that you have. We'd love to help support in any way. Make sure to check out the resources that we've linked within the description as well. And as always, we wish you all the best in continuing to build that culture of collaboration within your organization.
See you soon.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. Explore more podcasts at www.teachbetterpodcastnetwork.com. We'll see you on the next episode.